One thing that's often overlooked in the story of Jacob's ladder, which we've just heard, is the fact that Jacob himself had been exiled. He had been sent away by his parents because they couldn't face the idea of him marrying a Hittite girl. So they said, off you go. And he went a considerable distance, miles away from his own people and their land, to find somewhere new. Remember also that Jacob was living in a state of guilt because he had cheated his brother out of his inheritance. So unresolved guilt and this sense of being nowhere that connected at all with his people. It's hard for us to understand in the current age. But if we go back a little way in history to Shakespeare, and it is a little way by comparison with the time of Isaac and Jacob, then we see examples. So, for instance, in Romeo and Juliet, a character who is exiled says, "What you're doing is killing me by another name. If you killed me, that would be simple. But instead," he says, this is Shakespeare, "you chop off my head with a golden axe." In other words, it's an elaborate ritual for permanently separating him from the things he's anchored to. So there we are with Jacob in the middle of nowhere, starting the night in hostile circumstances. And you know what happens. We did it with the children. And after the vision has ended, when Jacob gets up in the morning, he takes that lump of stone, which has been his pillow, and he sets it up. I expect he dug a hole in the ground and he put it in so that it would stand upright, and he poured oil on the top, a religious ritual in those days, to indicate that it was holy ground. And he said, "This place is Beth El." We say Bethel, but Beth El means the house of God. El means God. And it remained sacred for the rest of Israel's history, and still is today. Nowhere else, apart from on Mount Sinai, do we hear of straightforward, complete encounters between people and God. We have lots of queries about what God looks like and the impossibility of understanding what that is. But this isn't about God's appearance, it's about God's presence. And this is what Jacob is uniquely privileged, with the single exception of Moses, what Jacob is uniquely privileged to experience. God with him, and a connection visible between this earth and heaven. Now, those of you who enjoy the work of Philip Pullman, his Dark Materials, will remember, I'm sure, that one of the characters accidentally comes across something whilst crossing the Oxford Ring Road. And he's just on foot. He's crossing the Oxford Ring Road, and suddenly he sees something a bit odd. So he goes and has a look, and there's something very odd about the air, the space there, near a scrubby bush on that central reservation of the Ring Road, and he puts his hand in, and he enters another world. And of course, that is how the plot works. It works on the basis of several realities and the possibility of moving between them. We don't normally, as Christians, think of several realities, only of one, plus the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven is thought mostly to be inaccessible to us. However, in a little while, I'm going to talk to you about what the kingdom of heaven might be and how we might find access to it, even in this life.